Grab your coffee or your gin and tonic or whatever floats your boat and join me, Raylene Marks, for today's edition of the Israel Brief. The Israel Brief is brought to you every Monday to Thursday by my partners, Lay of the Land. More about them in a titch. And we take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. Many of you tell me Israel is probably the most misunderstood country in the world, and I cannot agree with you more. And very often what you see in your mainstream media is not necessarily the reality of what is happening on the ground here. As you know, Israel is currently at war with Hamas, an internationally recognized terrorist organization, following the horrific terror invasion of the 7th of October, which saw over 1,200 people murdered in cold blood, 250 plus taken hostage in Gaza, of which 120 still remain. It is day 265 days of being held captive in Hamas's terror dungeons. Release them now. Release them now. We are never going to stop talking about the hostages on the Israel Brief as long as even one person remains captive by Hamas. So let's take a look at today's top story before we take a look at the audience question of the day. Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders, have said that one of their staff members, a doctor or medic by the name of Fadi Al-Wadiya, was killed by IDF forces. Now, they claim that he was killed while riding his bicycle, but the IDF have released photographs which prove that Al-Wadiya was a Palestinian Islamic Jihad missile engineer or missile maker, and he was involved in other engineering and chemistry. They also released the photos on social media. It is up on the IDF's X page and other social media outlets, and strangely enough, we have not heard from Médecins Sans Frontières since the IDF have released the pictures. Israel could bomb Lebanon back to the Stone Age. These were the words of Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant speaking about the rising tensions and violence coming from Hezbollah, another Iranian proxy who are in the south of Lebanon. Since the 8th of October, Hezbollah have been violating United Nations Resolution 1701, which states that they need to stay north of the Litani River, and have been firing rockets, drones, and anti-tank mortars onto Israeli positions in the north of the country, decimating many people's homes, leaving over 100,000 as internal refugees and putting communities under severe threat, not to mention the acres and acres of fires that have been set as a result of the constant firing. Gallant went on to say that the IDF is preparing for every option, but that we would prefer not to use military might, that we would prefer a diplomatic solution. Just last week, the White House Special Envoy was in the region doing shuttle diplomacy between Israel and Lebanon, trying to quell the tensions. And here we go again. You might hear the beeps in the background. Those are incoming rockets or drones. Now, they might not necessarily be from Hezbollah. They could also be from Hamas in the Gaza Strip, who a short while ago fired on Nahal Oz and other areas very, very close to the border. We call it the Otef, the Gaza envelope area. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut has appealed to Americans not to visit Lebanon, and Lebanese media were reporting earlier today that a Qatari official is on his way to Beirut to speak to Hezbollah officials to try and put an end to the tensions. There is a very real worry, not just in Israel, but in the region, that this could result in a full-scale war. Listen to that. that is incoming, probably from Hezbollah in the north of the country. Has there been an exchange of a war of words between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Israel's Foreign Minister Israel Katz? Well, yesterday Erdogan made the comment that Western powers are supporting Israel's plans to attack Lebanon and create a full-scale regional war. In response, the foreign minister said that Tayyip Erdogan is a war criminal and accused him of hypocrisy. Now, Turkey probably has one of the most heinous human rights records if we look at how Erdogan has treated the journalists, the press in his country, and also we can't forget Turkey's history of genocide in Armenia, in Cyprus, and other parts. So this might be a good time for President Erdogan to sit down. But words have been escalating between Turkish president and Israeli officials. Just a few months ago, he accused the prime minister of being Hitler, and ties between the two countries have taken a significant downturn. And finally, Ynet or Yediot Ahronot is reporting that the damage to infrastructure in Gaza is significantly less than what the international community is reporting. According to Ynet, Israel, or about 16% of infrastructure has been damaged permanently. This is according to Israeli data. And according to the United Nations, between 50 and 70% of buildings have been damaged. Now, the UN based their findings on satellite photographs, whereas the IDF based their findings on 3D imagery, drone footage, and other aircraft and other aerial surveillance, which is happening on an ongoing basis. So yet again, it will be fascinating to see whether or not the international community will respond to these allegations that they have made against the state of Israel being roundly debunked again. We can't forget that the allegations of famine were debunked. The allegations of firing on hospitals was debunked by the fact that Hamas have embedded themselves in hospitals and civilian infrastructure. We cannot forget the issue of the Al Ali hospital. We cannot forget the issue of the humanitarian convoy stampede. It looks like whenever there are massive accusations, they are roundly debunked. Right, so let's take a look at the question of the day, and it comes from Mandy in Australia, who asks, who is legally responsible for the distribution of aid in the Gaza Strip? Excellent question, Mandy. According to the Geneva Conventions, Israel is only responsible for ensuring that humanitarian aid goes into the Gaza Strip unimpeded. However, as we know, the world seems to judge Israel by a different standard, and we hear this constant noise of not enough aid, not enough aid, not enough aid. And just to remind everybody that aid is coming in from airdrops, from the sea, and via several terrestrial land crossings. However, who is legally responsible for distributing the aid? Now, this is very interesting because Hamas control the Gaza Strip. Hamas are the de facto government. So technically, they are legally responsible for distributing aid. But as we know, Hamas don't operate by the same standards and moral codes that a Western government or any other government with a moral conscience would operate by. We know that for Hamas, the more civilian casualties, that's part of their strategy. For Israel, it's a tragedy. For Hamas, it's part of a greater strategy. And not only do they withhold aid and loot aid, but they also sell it in the markets for exorbitant prices. Aid distribution agencies like the United Nations and various private sector and NGO distributors are also responsible for ensuring that the aid gets out safely and expediently to the people of Gaza. So that's it for today, guys. It's the weekend already, and I'm sure if you're in the Northern Hemisphere like us, you are absolutely melting with the heat. It's about 34 degrees in Israel and about 9 trillion% humidity. So I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook community is at Lottel's site. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. If you like our content, please click on that red subscribe button and tell a friend. Let's grow this incredible community that we have. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, drink. Let's not dehydrate, stay cool. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere and it's freezing, stay warm. And big love to all of you. And I will see you again on Monday. Bye for now.